Thanks, guys. I'm Evan Berkowitz for YBA News. Did you know that there's an epidemic hitting our area? With startling numbers coming in every day, the teen prescription drug abuse problem here in Massachusetts is one of the biggest problems facing teenagers in the Bay State today. According to a survey reported on by United Business Media, 56% of Massachusetts parents say that their teens have easy access to prescriptions in their home, and 14% say that they've given their child pain medications that weren't theirs. Doctors are alarmed, but say that this is a solemn reminder that not all kids are using so-called hard drugs, but more accessible options in their very own home. Organizations such as Teen Challenge are trying to help. WBZ's David Wade has the story from Teen Challenge representative Reverend Josh Fulton.
We are a registered 501c3.
Teen Challenge tries to make it easy. It registers with the state, even though it's exempt as a Christian organization. And members wear clear identification.
We want to be a positive influence and let people know that what they're donating to is a good cause, it is a verifiable cause.
And they're not the only ones either. Programs like the Multi-Town DARE, or Drug Abuse Resistance Education, and nonprofits like Above the Influence or the Partnership at drugfree.org help to educate teens on the dangers of prescription drugs. But as this survey proves, drug abuse prevention methods start at home. These folks aren't saying that medicine for a diagnosed problem is inherently bad, but teens who use them for getting high, and moreover parents who make this possible, are big problems for today's teen. In Natick, I'm Evan Berkowitz, YBA News.
That's terrific. Evan, I gotta tell you.
Addiction. Are there any addictions you guys know of that you have?
I have an addiction to caffeine.
Ooh.
I am a caffeine addict. I can't go a day without my 7 cups of coffee.
7 cups of coffee?
I'm working on it.
7?
It used to be 8.
Wow.
Now it's 7.
Cut down one by one.
So what are you guys addicted to?
I don't even know if I can live up to
Okay,
that.
I know,
Wow.
no. I know a lot of my friends are addicted to texting.
Yes,
yeah,
that
definitely.
maybe.
Electronics, definitely addictions.
Yeah, computer probably. I just love being on my computer. Facebook.
So you guys are freshmen, right? So back when I was a freshman, I was obsessed with Facebook because I'd only gotten it like the year before.
Yeah.
And so when I should have been studying for things, I was
You're
like on Facebook. Just
I've had those nights here and there.
Yeah, but now I don't do it anymore. I've gotten kind of bored of Facebook. Now I just do it to put up pictures and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I'm still, love Facebook. But like you were saying with the caffeine, I think there was the Palm Wonderful Presents the Greatest Movie Ever Sold. And they were showing him different commercials while he was in a CAT scan and seeing the brain activity that was going on. And when they showed Coke, which has caffeine, as we know, there was
Coca-Cola.
Yeah, not that kind of Coke. Even though
that's a totally different level of addiction. But
different addiction. But there were a bunch of neurochemicals being released in his mind, and that was actually a sign of addiction. So he's addicted to Coke, and that's just from the advertisement being shown to him, so that's pretty serious.
Yeah.
Definitely. I don't know, when I see like Dunkin' Donuts commercials, I'm like, get me my coffee.
That's what these commercials do. They show you, they try to make it so attractive that you're like, I gotta go out and get that, and then you get addicted to it. You know, especially caffeine, when they drop like the ice cubes in the caffeine, you're like,
oh my gosh.
Oh my god, I want that caffeine so bad. Don't you have those moments?
Yeah.
Like I'm not like a caffeine addict, but I definitely say to myself, I could use a nice cup of Joe right now.
Cup of Joe? Who says cup of Joe nowadays?
Well, people, who knows?
Oh, Devin.
Crazy me. But no, I don't think I have any addictions exactly, but
I mean, not everyone has addictions.
Maybe
Facebook.
Maybe Facebook.
No,
Computer.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there are different kinds of addictions, like teen addictions, and of course the more serious adult addictions.
Yeah.
Like even recently in the news, the Michael Jackson, he died from a drug overdose, and we don't know if that was addiction. I mean, probably was, but you know.
Drug addiction is always very serious. Alcohol addiction, that type of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, that can happen to teens too.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. You got to be careful.
Yeah.
Definitely. So we're going to take a quick break, but we'll be back soon to have some more interviews and talk about some more things. So, see you then.
Yay. Good job.
I dyed my hair for you and gave a cake for you. I downloaded crappy music off iTunes for you. I brushed my teeth for you. Fight an accent for you, just so maybe then you would think that I'm cool. You think I'm cool.
Welcome back.
Yes, we're sitting here with Bernard Lee. He is the host of ESPN Live Poker, and he's also a professional poker player. Is that right?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah.
So you went to Harvard University, is that right? You went to, there was another one I saw.
Babson.
Yes, and you went to Juilliard School, which is a huge music school. So, like, when you were a kid, did you always want to be a poker player? Or you wanted to do poker? How'd this all become?
Yeah, never in my wildest dreams did I ever think I was going to be a poker player, professional poker player. I loved playing poker. I played ever since I was young. My dad taught me how to play. But being a professional was not in the outlook. But it was one of those things that just kind of worked out. In 2005, I went to the World Series of Poker. I qualified, and the next thing you know, out of 5,600 players, I'm down to the final 18. I ended up finishing 13th, the top New England finisher. And it's very hard to describe. You just get this incredible bug, and now suddenly I have this interest of maybe I can do this. And I worked on it for 2 more years afterward, and decided to leave my job, which I enjoy doing. I went to business school, like you said, for Babson. Worked at a local company called Boston Scientific for about 9 years, and I really loved my job. I was marketing and new business development, but when you have an opportunity to work at a profession that isn't a job to me, I mean, it's so much fun. I love doing it that I had to take a chance, and 4.5 years later, I'm still doing it.
Wow.
So as a poker analyst, what kind of things do you do?
Well, the fortunate thing that I have, our show on ESPN is called Inside Deal. And so for anyone who has ever watched Baseball Tonight or NFL Live or anything along those lines, if you're a sports fanatic, to be on ESPN is a dream. For me to be one of the hosts and analysts on an ESPN show is, I mean, in all honesty, ridiculous. I mean, I just think it's so much fun. So I'm fortunate enough that I get to play poker and I get to report about it, and we talk about the activities that are going on, the news of the week of poker, and you know, it's a great opportunity to do that. And how incredible it is to go down to Bristol every week or so.
Wow. So now we were talking about this before. You've seen the movie 21. Yep. So now in all these, besides 21, but all these movies with poker, is all the things that they show really true?
Well, of course, it's Hollywood, and 21's a little different, right? 21's blackjack. So, I mean, the real big movies that have come out. Rounders was a really huge movie in the late '90s with Matt Damon and Ed Norton, and that was really about the underground poker world. The recent movie that came out with Drew Barrymore and Eric Bana was Lucky You, which there was a lot of press about because a lot of the professionals made cameos in it. Unfortunately, the movie didn't live up to the hype. Why don't we just say that?
It was a romance, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, we knew that that's what kind of the story was going to be, but we really felt there might be a little bit more poker onto it. So that didn't really live up to hype. I think everyone's really anxious about Rounders 2 because they are talking about writing that script, and so I think a lot of people are hoping that will be kind of the next step in poker movies.
And then do you have any tips and tricks into like reading people when you're playing a game, or is it mostly just you and your cards?
Well, it's a great question. I think that really to take your game to another level, most people in poker, they just look at their cards and they play the game based off of their cards. When you get to a certain level, I don't really care what cards I have. I mean, literally, you could deal me 2 cards and they could be blank, and I'm playing against you as a player. And that's what really takes people to another level, because if you think about poker in the sense of everyone gets the same cards, and on average you'll get some good cards and I'll get some good cards. Well, if that's the case, then how does somebody get an advantage over somebody else? And a lot of it is how much you bet. Sometimes it can be, I don't believe that you have as strong of a hand as you're saying, so I'm going to try to raise you and push you off of a hand. So that's really a lot of the psychology of poker. It's not just the mathematics, but it's a lot of psychology as well.
Is there any advantage in looking at someone's poker face, or is that just
100%? Absolutely. I mean, the benefit of, you know, why some people wear sunglasses is that they don't want to show their face or their eyes, etc. But there are a lot of people who are not skilled at hiding their reaction. You know?
I'm one of those people, I think.
Well, anytime you want to come to our game, you're more than welcome to. But yeah, so I mean, obviously hiding your tells is very, very important. Sometimes there's the reverse, which we call reverse tells. So if I want to show you that I missed the hand and I'm sulky and I didn't get it, well then you might try to raise me off the hand, and I really do have the hand, and now I'm going to suck you into the hand.
Does that work usually?
You really have to understand if the player's smart enough to be watching you. Right? You can't bluff somebody who doesn't know they're being bluffed. I mean, you really have to watch the game and look at each player. And I think the really important thing about poker is you're playing, if it's a 10-handed table, you're playing against 9 other players, but you can't stereotype all 9 players as one type. Each player is a different type and has advantages and disadvantages. If a player is really good, you might want to avoid that player. If a player is very bad, you might want to play every hand against that player because you know you have an advantage. That doesn't mean you're going to win every hand, but you have to take advantage of certain situations when you can.
You know so much about poker. Did you write Poker for Dummies, or what? You know, the Dummies book? Because I mean, you know a lot about this.
My wife kiddingly said that I should have a PhD in poker because I've read almost every single book out there. When I was starting out, I mean, I guess, you know, with regards to my education and all that, I just study on things. And I, in 2004 and 2005, really read up on poker. The other fortunate thing that I have is not only do I work for ESPN, but I have my own radio show. It took a real consultant to figure this one out. It's called the Bernard Lee Poker Show. And it's in Boston. It's on AM. And you also can get it via podcast, and I get to talk to the best players in the world, you know, whoever they may be. If you follow poker, Daniel Negreanu, Phil Hellmuth, the World Series final table is nicknamed the November 9, and I've had all 36 members on, and so when you have this advantage of talking to the best players in the world, well, sometimes I'm interviewing them, but I'm actually asking their advice on air, and so I'm talking about, so how would you play this way, or how would you play that way? Well, a lot of people are interested in that advice, but I'm actually soaking it in. I also have the advantage of, because I know these people on a personal level, I can call them up anytime and say, hey, you know what did you think about this, or what did you think about that? And because of that, I've been able to improve my game a lot recently as well.
Wow. It's really interesting.
Yeah, it is. What's the best hand that you've ever gotten, excuse me?
The best hand I've ever gotten is a straight flush. I've never actually gotten a royal flush in a tournament setting. But, you know, you would think that, oh, well, that's great. But I actually didn't win as much on that hand. There are a lot of hands that you win so many more chips because of whether it was a bluff or whether you played a weird hand or something along those lines. So there's so many memories in the last 5-6 years I played professionally, and you know, playing heads up with some of the best players in the world, or getting down to it. Unfortunately, some of the most memorable hands are the hands you didn't win, because it's one of those what if scenarios.
So you kind of learn from it?
Yeah, you learn from it, and then you also remember them. And you know, the hand that I got knocked out at the World Series in 2005, he had 5 cards that could beat me, and if he doesn't get that hand, now suddenly I could make the final table, and who knows what can happen from there. But you know, there's also other really memorable hands. The first title I ever won in 2006, I hit what we call a 2-outer, or there's only 2 cards on the river that can help me. If not, I'm out of the tournament. Next thing you know, I win the tournament. So there are a lot of memorable hands out there, and I write for the Boston Herald. I have a Sunday column on the Boston Herald, and that's what I write about. I write about a lot of memorable hands that I've played on tour, or that other people have played, and you know, you kind of can see how the world of poker is so interesting and what's on the line sometimes. And I actually wrote 2 books on those called The Final Table, which is the column, and wrote 2 books that put all of these together, the columns together, because so many people wanted to like read the back columns.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much for your time. It's been so interesting getting all this advice and everything. So yeah, thank you so much for being here today. It was
no
great.
problem. It's a real pleasure. Anytime.